This video is on the fossil record. So in this video, we will be going over the Great Oxidation Event, the Cambrian Explosion, Endosymbiotic Theory, and the Snowball Earth hypothesis. So first, let's talk about just the basics of the fossil record. Fossils provide a unique view into the history of life by showing the forms and features of life in the past. Fossils tell us how species have changed across long periods of the Earth's history. For instance, in 1998, scientists found a fossil showing an animal at the transition from sea creature to land creature. This tetrapod had a hand-like fin, confirming a prediction of evolutionary biology. Though the fossil record does not include every plant and animal that ever lived, it provides substantial evidence for the common descent of life via evolution. The Great Oxidation Event was the biologically induced appearance of dioxygen in Earth's atmosphere. Geological, isotopic, and chemical evidence suggests that this major environmental change happened around 2.45 billion years ago during the Siderean period, at the beginning of the Proterozoic eon. The causes of the event are not clear. The current geochemical and biomarker evidence for the development of oxygenic photosynthesis before the Great Oxidation Event has been mostly inconclusive. The Cambrian Explosion was the event of approximately 541 million years ago during the Cambrian period, when most major animal phyla appeared in the fossil record. It resulted in the divergence of most modern metazoan phyla. The event was accompanied by major diversification of other organisms. Before the Cambrian explosion, most organisms were simple, composed of individual cells, occasionally organized into colonies. Over the following 70 to 80 million years, the rate of diversification accelerated, and the variety of life began to resemble that of today. Almost all present animal phyla appeared during this period. And we need to know a few hypotheses and theories. The hypothesis of abiotic synthesis simply states that amino acids were formed before life existed. Endosymbiotic theory, also called symbiogenesis, is an evolutionary theory of the origin of eukaryotic cells from prokaryotic organisms, first articulated in 1905 and also in 1910. It was also advanced and substantiated with the microbiological evidence by Lynn Margulis in 1967. It holds that the organelles distinguishing eukaryotic cells evolved through symbiosis of individual single-celled prokaryotes, which were bacteria and archaea. The theory holds that mitochondria, plastids such as chloroplasts, and possibly other organelles of eukaryotic cells represent formerly free-living prokaryotes taken one inside the other in endosymbiosis around 1.5 billion years ago. In more detail, mitochondria appear to be related to proterobacteria and chloroplasts to nitrogen-fixing cyanobacteria. Among the many lines of evidence supporting symbiogenesis are that new mitochondria and plastids are formed only through binary fission, and that cells cannot create new ones otherwise, that the transport proteins, called porins, are found in the outer membranes of mitochondria, chloroplasts, and bacterial cell membranes, that cardiolipin is found only in the inner mitochondrial membrane and bacterial cell membranes, and that some mitochondria and plastids contain single circular DNA molecules similar to the DNA of bacteria. The Snowball Earth hypothesis proposes that Earth's surface became entirely or nearly entirely frozen at least once, sometime earlier than 650 million years ago. Proponents of the hypothesis argue that it best explains sedimentary deposits generally regarded as of glacial origin at tropical latitudes and other enigmatic features in the geological record. Opponents of the hypothesis contest the implications of the geological evidence for global glaciation and the geophysical feasibility of an ice or slush-covered ocean, and emphasize the difficulty of escaping an all-frozen condition. A number of unanswered questions remain, including whether the Earth was a full snowball or a slush ball with a thin equatorial band of open or seasonably open water. The Snowball Earth episodes are proposed to have occurred before the sudden radiation of multicellular bioforms, known as the Cambrian Explosion, which we discussed earlier. The most recent snowball episode may have triggered the evolution of multicellularity. Another, much earlier and longer snowball episode, known as the Huronian glaciation, which would have occurred 2400 to 2100 million years ago, may have been triggered by the appearance of oxygen in the atmosphere, which is the Great Oxidation event. And then finally, we also have the sequence of life that you should be familiar with. The sequence of life was the first synthesis of organic monomers, followed by organic polymers, followed by the formation of probion, and then the formation of DNA-based genetic systems.